if I'm going to make a success of this challenge, I need to set good habits and good routines quickly. And I've not had too many of those over the years. I'm not sure my habit for burgers and my affinity to wine and beer at networking events is going to help me across the next 24 weeks. No, I need to focus on better. In fact, there's 5 areas that Jordan wants me to work on immediately. He's kept it very simple for me. The first, step count. He wants me getting that right up. 8,000 a day is what we're aiming for. Second, hydration. 2.5 litres of water per day. I'm actually going to aim for 3. Third, nutrition. There are foods I can eat more of. There are foods I can eat some of. And there are foods that I need to eat less of. We'll get more into that as we move through the program. The fourth area is my activities. On top of the step count, I need to do 3 or 4 sessions a week. I have to do 2 cardio sessions of 30 to 35 minutes, which I can combine into one if I wish. And when I'm on the bike, I have to hold a 70 to 75% output using the heart monitor. If I do that, I'm training in zone 2, which is burning fat. And then I have to do 2 60-minute resistance sessions during the week. That's with the bands and the weights. And then the final area, sleep. I've got to make sure I'm not eating within 2 hours of bed. No devices, blue screens within 1 hour of bed. And I need to be aiming for 7 hours of quality sleep. If I do that, the body starts to heal and recover itself, and I have more energy.
If we look at the trunk, we're holding 22.7 kilograms of body fat. That is over 530.3% of what we actually need and want there.
The data says I have to do a lot about this.
You are 47 years young. Based on your body composition report, it's saying that you've got the body of a 50.7-year-old.
There are health risks if I don't get my act in order here. Those numbers are quite punchy, quite high.
As painful as it can be for people when they look at these numbers, it can act as a catalyst for real life-changing transformation.
Friday night last night, and I had a long-standing friend commitment. I did have 4 beers. Yeah, not great, but a lot less than I would have normally had, and we're told to live our lives and enjoy ourselves, right? But I've got to balance up that harsh data that I saw this week, and I've got to be better at this. So I'm going to control the social commitments going forward, and I'm going to try and do a stint where I can really get that alcohol intake down. And again, we'll give you the warts and all in here of how that's going for me. But so far, lots of support, lots of resources. The nutrition is a really, really surprising positive. It's good food. Long may it continue. So let's break down what I'm going to do. Step count. How am I going to get my steps up? Well, this is where having a dog helps. See, I can make a quick change and I can take responsibility for getting out. 6 a.m. every morning, I'm out the door with the dog and we go for a 45-minute walk. There's a loop across the farm which helps me be consistent. Hydration. I want to aim for 3 litres. But how do I measure that? And how do I do it consistently? Well, I went onto Amazon, I bought this. 3 litres is held in it, and it's even got a sort of handy time guide on it, so I can see if I'm on track with my hydration or not. Since I've been doing this, I've hit 3 to 3.2 litres consistently every day. Nutrition. I was scared of this part. I worried it was going to be really bland food, and it's not. Yes, I have to focus on protein with each meal and getting protein into the body because protein makes us feel fuller and the body has to work harder to break it down, so there's less desire for snacking. But I can be really diverse. And in fact, some of the recipes on the app are amazing. I have had healthy fry-ups. I promise you I'm not making this up. Check this recipe out. We've also had Panang curry in the evening. Again, another winner from Chef Stephen. With food like this, it's not boring. It's actually really tasty, and the whole family's getting involved in it. And then in and around that, I've been having the most complex salads I think I've ever had. Waldorf salads have become a bit of a staple for me. There's endless options. In fact, I have a guide from Jordan that has, I don't know, 30, 40 different recipes in it. And I promise you, some of them you would look at it and think, how is that healthy food? I feared it was going to be brown rice, Ryvita and chicken, not a Ryvita biscuit in sight. The activities. I was in that category of a business leader thinking I'm going at 100 miles an hour every week. I have little time to put other meetings in. I've not really got time to do this, got time to do that. I mean, frankly, I was making excuses because as a business leader, if there's a problem to be fixed, I find time. If there's a challenge within the business, I find time. One of the most insightful things Jordan ever said to me is set a meeting for yourself. So the first thing I do every week is I plan out my week and I put those meetings in the morning, showing when I'm getting out, what I'm doing resistance wise, or I block my lunches out if I'm doing my cardio on the bike at lunchtime. It's not been a challenge fitting in what essentially is 3 1-hour sessions or 4 sessions of 260 minutes and 2 30 to 35 minute sessions. Anyone can fit that in. I just needed to stop making excuses as to why I didn't want to fit it in.
Hey mate, it is great to connect after a week of being on the Executive Athlete for Life program. I'm obviously really keen to hear how everything's been going for you, what you've been feeling, what the insights have been, what the wins have been, what the challenges have been like, and just lay it all out for me. Give me just complete context on how you've felt over the last 7 days.
I honestly think it feels like a lifetime ago when I was sat in the car after the induction thinking, crikey, there's some big numbers that I've got to do about that. I mean, that 46% body fat has been ringing around in my head. And the comment you made about I have 500% more fat on my trunk than I should. I've had nightmares about those numbers, Jordan, right? So when I left you, I was really overwhelmed. I found it really strange that my body it's been 7 days, but now on the nutrition, I want the really good stuff rather than the sort of processed stuff. Is it normal for people to kind of go through a tipping point of the body almost craving the better things?
It's so good to hear them insights, CJ. Typically, what we find happens with our clients when they start to make that change and they start looking at their hydration, their nutrition, their steps, and the recovery. When they start aligning these quickly, and you have hit the ground running in all areas, which has been fantastic. What tends to happen is when they're eating more protein, their blood sugar is more stable, so they have less cravings. When we focus on getting more protein into our body, it helps keep us fuller for longer because our body has to work harder to break that protein down. And then when we also align things like the hydration, it also has a much better impact on our gut and how our gut actually absorbs the nutrients, minerals, and vitamins. And then when we start improving our physiology, and what I mean by that is how we move and the consistency of what we move. So you've obviously got some exercise and you've got your steps in every day. You've been sending me voice notes in the morning of your walks. When we start moving better, we start feeling better as well. And to hear how you're feeling in that space of time is brilliant. And it's a testament to the commitment that you've shown so early on in this program.
The steps part is one area that I thought I was going to struggle. A week ago, I was lethargic, tired. I'm looking at my diary and I'm thinking, it's pretty full. And when you said, we need to get your steps count up, 8,000 steps a day, when you first said that, I thought, well, what does that mean? The Friday I was back in my office where I had a really full day and I saw that it came out at 3,000 steps. I suddenly thought, oof, this is going to be a bit of an effort. But here's the really surprise. I'm at the weekend, I took the dog out and I realized if I do the sort of loop across the farm filter there that I'd normally do, the movement I then have through the day, I'm guaranteed to hit the 8,000 steps. So I'm now out early doing that with her. So when when I did that, I suddenly realized, okay, the step count's not challenging. Then I was hit with, and I don't know why I should be surprised, because both you and Russell have said this many, many times to me, that when the body fires up, the mind will be sharp. I'm solving all sorts of problems while I'm walking in the morning, which is why you're getting all those voice notes from me. Normally, I would have to have several coffees down my neck before I would tune into a task, which kind of brings me on to the other big change that you asked me to make. I told you last week I was doing 6, 7 coffees a day, and I was in a place, Jordan, where I needed the caffeine to kind of get me through the lethargic moments that I had. You asked me to do no more than 2, and I've done that every day. And in fact, those 2 coffees are done by about 9:30, and then the rest of the day is just water. I have had more energy as a result of it, and I'm genuinely blown away by that. So for anyone watching this that thinks this is all just a bit of a fad or a new name diet, I promise you, I am the epitome of the burger, steak loving, have too many fries, guys. I think the one area, if I'm being really candid, I'm a bit behind the curve on. So the training, I've been able to get out on the bike. I've been able to hold that 70% training part that you asked for. I'm not going to lie, my lungs were not thanking you yesterday for doing that. That was an effort, having to do that. But the legs haven't been aching today. The chest hasn't been aching today. So I'm guessing that's the protein doing its recovery job that you were sort of telling me about.
DCJ, when we look at expending energy in terms of exercise, you obviously come from an athletic background as well. So there is a term, muscle memory, which you may have heard of before. What you have done up until this date will still serve you in some regards. But when then you look at your hydration, which you've been very consistent with, that impacts recovery. When you look at the protein you've been consuming as well, and then you look at your sleep, when we have these working together and in a synergistic way, we just feel better and recover quicker. So your ability to go and exercise and then to have all of your lifestyle factors in a great place as well allows you to show up the next day feeling better, moving better, thinking clearer, having more energy, and continuing to really refine that system and improve on it as we move forward.
I'm a little concerned I've only done, I don't know, 2, 3 training sessions this week. I see on my chart I'm supposed to do 2 resistance sessions for about 60 minutes, I think it was saying. The bands have arrived, so I've got no excuse not to do that now. And I've been looking back at everything you sort of showed me last week. I am still struggling with that exercise, the one leg out, one leg. My stomach is not thanking you for that. I know it really is, but I'm amazed at how tough that exercise is. I've only done 1 bike session, so I need to do another training session, whether that's sort of today or tomorrow. I should be doing 4 a week though, right?
So we looked at your exercise split being 4 sessions a week, lasting 45 to 50 minutes. 2 resistance sessions where we're focusing on building skeletal muscle mass, which we got that reading on our in-body machine, improving muscular strength, and then also impacting mobility and stability, so injury prevention and how well our body moves and feels. We then look at cardiovascular exercise. So we want to improve heart rate, lungs, and energy management. Obviously, we have chatted briefly, but we have an event in London tomorrow in Soho where we're getting a group of business leaders together. We're meeting at a gym and we're going to show them just how powerful it is to be around people who are also pursuing better health, energy, well-being, longevity. And I know you come from a team background. I come from a team background as well in terms of the sports that we played. That ability to still connect with really good people who prioritize exercise, movement, wanting to improve their health and their energy is a really powerful place to be. So tomorrow's session, when we get together, it'll be great to have you there just to give you an overview on what it looks like. We're going to focus the first 10 to 15 minutes on movement preparation, getting the body ready to exercise. We're then going to focus on resistance training, and then we're going to finish with some cardiovascular work. We also have a lady attending who's going to focus on breath work and mobility to finish the session. And why we are so why we prioritize recovery so much is, you know what it's like being a business leader. You're working in that fast lane, you're problem solving, firefighting, supporting the team, helping clients. The ability to get into rest and digest, really focus on your breath, slow it all down, and prioritize recovery is game changing. So with that, we're going to really give all of our clients a great understanding of what that actually looks like, more importantly, how that feels, and why it's so important to their long-term health.
The bit that I really miss about rugby, I do not miss the pain of playing rugby. I do not miss the days on end of tight hamstrings and stuff while you're trying to loosen them up. But the banter in the clubhouse and the changing room, I really miss that. So I love the idea of everyone coming together. I also found it last week really inspiring talking to Warren and understanding his journey of where he was, where he is. So the more people I can speak to within your club about their journeys, I think that's really going to help me keep my motivations up. I think the only other thing I wanted to say to you guys was I'm really appreciative for what you're doing. A part that did not jump out at me about what you guys do is how attentive you are around the data and the progress and how supportive you are. I wondered where sort of I'm living out in the country, you guys are down in Kent. I wondered whether that was going to put a barrier between us. But the voice notes on a daily basis where you've already looked at my data and know what I've done, I've genuinely been blown away by how on it you all are. Do you do that for all of your members in the club?
Absolutely. Russell and I live by the mantra, every client matters or no client matters. And the ability when somebody starts this process and journey with us, for me, they're trusting us with the greatest asset they have, which is their health. And I know that when we get you to the place that we can get you to over this 24-week period, it's going to impact not just your quantity of life, but also your quality of life, which is going to have a ripple effect on the people that actually matter most to you as well. And for us, that is the standards of which we hold ourselves to. And for somebody to prioritize their health within the Executive Athlete Club and commit to a program like this, we want to do everything in our power and more to just show them what a powerful way it is to live in a healthy, fit and energized way, and just how much more enjoyable and rewarding and exciting life is when you're in the driving seat of your health and your longevity. You can do more, be more, feel more, support the people around you, have the impact on the world that you want, whether it's business or personal, and life is just a much more exciting place to be when you're in that driving seat.
Brilliant. Love to hear it. Well, look, thank you for everything you're doing. And I'll see you tomorrow in London then for our training session. Brilliant. Thanks, Jordan.
Cheers, mate. Thanks, CJ.
Morning. So it's 6:45 a.m. the day after you've seen that footage. Look at the smile on my face. I feel like I've trained, but I am not aching to the point that I can't walk. And look, when you've got mornings like this, you just want to come out and see the mist and see the sunrise. It's so beautiful. But here's the thing I want to talk to you about. My calorie count yesterday, according to the iPhone health data that syncs with my MyZone heart monitor that I was wearing through that training, actively in the workout, is telling me that I burnt through 1,612 calories across the whole day. 2,612 total calories burned. My nutrition yesterday, I want to talk to you about this quickly. We are going to get into a much deeper conversation on nutrition in a later episode, I promise you. We've got Chef Stephen coming to talk to you, who devises a lot of the recipes. Yesterday morning, I had oats, Greek yogurt, berries. I also had some scrambled eggs, 2 eggs, and a couple of bacon medallions to get the protein in. Lunch was the salmon and mango salad bowl from Pret because I was in Soho in London with that zesty dressing and lime. Some of you are probably familiar with it, highly recommend it. Dinner last night, after that training, we had a group session. I went to a steak restaurant and I didn't have chips and I didn't have red wine. First time in my life that I've omitted both from a steak meal. Instead, I had a fillet steak. I had a jacket potato without the cream cheese and a salad bowl. I'm telling you, the creamy jacket potato was delicious. The whole meal was. I then probably had a closer to 5 litres of water yesterday where we were training. This morning, I feel good. Jordan's mantra, train hard, recover harder. And if you stay on top of the 2.5 to 3 litres of water a day, I've been averaging 3.2 litres. If you stay on top of the hydration and stay on top of the good nutrition, the body recovers quick. Guess what? He's right. I mean, even the happy sunrise thinks he's right. Morning. It's Friday, the 11th of October. And it's somewhere around about 6:45. Good morning. Look, I've not had a good week so far, I've got to be honest. I've only done one cardiovascular session, albeit in that torrential rain, that storm that we had, that we think was linked with that hurricane that's just blown across the Atlantic. I was out riding in that. Probably explains why I got a bit of a head cold now. Look, I was supposed to have a second cardiovascular session yesterday, but we got COVID in the business. I tried to step in and cover a few bits. I was doing a live broadcast for the CEO, a few other bits. The good thing about the program is it's flexible and you can move things around. 4 sessions a week is optimal for me on my bespoke plan. Excuse me. I obviously don't want to be setting bad habits or missing them, but I'm a business leader, things happen. But I sit with the excuses. I came out this morning, even though I've got a head cold in the last 24 hours, I have come down with it. Why do I think it's a head cold and not COVID? Well, I had a really nasty bout of COVID 2-3 months ago, wiped me out for a week. Kind of hoping that those antibodies are still knocking around my system somewhere.
Hi CJ, another great video. A really interesting point that you've brought up, and I'll give you super clear information now. So how we always explain to our clients about whether they should exercise if they've got an illness, a cold, a flu, a bug, anything like that, is if it's above the neck, it's absolutely fine to exercise. And if it's below the neck, i.e. chest, tight chest feeling caught up, or stomach pains, don't exercise. So if yours is above the neck and it's a head cold at the minute, it's definitely fine to exercise.
So I can train. Good news, my cold is on my nose. Good morning. Day 22. So I'm now over 3 weeks into this plan, but it's been a really frustrating couple of days. I've got to start with that. As much as I'm loving it, I have had a really frustrating few days where I've been grumpy. CJ, why have you been grumpy? Well, from the point of view seeing that footage, darn cold dropped from my throat onto the top of my chest. So I've had a couple of days of enforced rest where the only thing I've been allowed to do is get out and do my normal walk. I have a 2.5 mile loop across the farm, which I do with the dog every morning. I've done that every day since induction. I love it. But I've only been allowed to do moderate walk, put some fresh air through the lungs, and then stay on point with the nutrition, get the multi-nutrients in, stay on point with hydration. I've not been allowed to do any training, not been allowed to go on the bike, not been allowed to lift weights. And I found that element a bit frustrating, if I'm honest with you. It's been a bit of guilt. I've always been feeling like I should be doing it, and I haven't been. So I got some flooding to battle with today. We had that storm come in last night, didn't we? Got to spend 45 minutes at 70 to 75% output. That's my zone 2. Last 15 minutes, got to ramp it up to 80-85%. There's a couple of big hills that I have to finish on, so, which is good because I have to hold this for 30 to 35 minutes at a 70 to 75% output. If I'm doing that, I'm operating in zone 2. I have a heart monitor on here. It's linked to my iWatch here. So I've got live data about the effort that I'm putting in. If I hold it where they want me to, I'm accessing those fat cells that you all saw in the first episode. I've got a few too many kilos of those around my trunk. 530% too much to be precise. We want to access as much of those fat cells as possible to fuel activities, saving all of those nutrients we're taking on and the protein to help with our recovery so that I can go again tomorrow. Everything Jordan and EAC are telling me is about permanent fixes. It's not about, they're not interested in what I do this week or next week, as long as I'm sticking to the plan, of course. They'll be very quick to correct me where I'm not. But their focus is where I'm at 24 weeks, setting me up for permanent lifestyle routine change. And I get it. And I'm all on board with it because I want to be around for my future grandkids. I want to be more present with my own kids. I want to repay all the tremendous support that I've had. The trailer for the docuseries dropped 2 or 3 days ago. The response has been outstanding. Messages from people I've never met of support, complimenting me for doing it. I've had messages complimenting on being brave and putting it all out there. The truth is, okay, it might be brave to some, but the truth is I need accountability to do things like this. So making myself accountable to everyone who's following the EAC journey to see just how brilliant they all are. They're geniuses. The sports science, the data, the insight, the support, the coaching. But they're going to get you there. They're going to get you to the standard. They have a lovely phrase internally, athletes in training, and they make you feel like that. And when you get those messages of support, it not only reminds you that social isn't just a toxic, nasty place that it undoubtedly can be, it's also everything that it was set up for, a place to connect with people in community, to share goodwill, to share like-minded activities. This week I've experienced the very best of social, so I'm committed to all of you, every single one of you. We're going to do this, and if I can show just one business leader who was a similar size to me that there's a different way and you can come out of it transformed, if I find just one person who I can get on the journey with me, that's a win. According to Strava, 1 hour and 3 minutes ride time. It was only a 350 foot elevation gain that I went up. It feels a lot more than that. And it was around about 11 miles that we've done in the saddle. I'm a lot slower than I was years ago, but 1 hour and 3 minutes of cardiovascular done. And I held it in the zone 2, the green. We'll show you an image on screen here. The green is zone 2 and yellow is when I'm pushing it into the next zone, which is just over 80% effort. I was supposed to hold it in the yellow for 10 to 12 minutes at the end. You can see I kept flicking back between the green and the yellow, so bit of work to be done. But with the VO2 max session on Monday, I've ended this 2-week stint having set all of the goals that I wanted to. I've got a good rhythm with the nutrition, I've got a good rhythm with the hydration, a good rhythm with the activity, And I'm now in a place where I can do the VO2 on Monday. On to the next phase.